pleasant good evening from our news team here in Central Monrovia, Liberia. This is News Today with me, Emmanuel Davis, presenting this 9th-day edition of September 2019 of News Today on KMTV. Stories topping this presentation. The National Economic Dialogue ends in Monrovia with a call for President George Weah to implement recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report with specific reference to the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court. The United Nations Development Program, UNDP Executive Board, endorses Liberia's country program document, the CPD, as Liberia's permanent representative to the UN acknowledges the role of UNDP in actualizing the PAPD. President George Weah shows his government's readiness in urgently and carefully addressing proposals crafted by delegates at the just-ended National Economic Dialogue. These plus many other developments are packaged in tonight's edition of our news. We take this break. When we come back, we go straight into news and other developments. Welcome back and thanks for rejoining us tonight. Let's now bring you our first development. The National Economic Dialogue has ended in Monrovia with the crafting of a national consensus document on the revival and growth of the Liberian economy for onward implementation by the government of Liberia. Convened by Liberia's Chief Executive George Weah, the forum discussed 4 thematic issues, including the mobilization and management of public finance, promoting investment and growing private sector businesses, tackling existing high unemployment rate among youth and sustaining the peace and bringing about genuine reconciliation. The consensus document, read by Dr. Toga Gabriel McIntosh, chairperson of the Economic Dialogue, calls for the full implementation of the TRC recommendations with specific reference to the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court. Let's now bring you Dr. McIntosh reading the instrument at the close of the dialogue in Congo Town over the weekend.
We, the people of Liberia, are pleased to submit the following practical initiatives and programs with a time-bound roadmap to be incorporated into the respective action strategic plans of responsible parties to bring about a speedy economic revival and growth within the next 3 years. These are doable things and vital for the survival and fate of the Liberian economy. Immediate action, that is within the next 6 months. Complete the process for enactment of the Customs Code. 2, negotiate and restructure external debts. 3, quantify. Let me tell us how much. Quantify, validate, find out the truth behind it, all of the domestic debts, and negotiate around the findings. Recapitalize the central bank. Reduce the inflation rate on the basic commodities. Stabilize the exchange rate by introducing new currency to build confidence in the economy, increase productivity, expand the productive base of our economy, develop a comprehensive borrowing strategy, including domestic auction and bonds markets, implement the TRC report, including the establishment of the Economic and War Crime Courts.
Meanwhile, participants at the meeting, which took place at the newly constructed ministerial complex in Congo Town, challenged President George Weah to tackle the many challenges confronting the people of Liberia swiftly. They also admonished Mr. Weah to prioritize national interests above self. Madam Dorothy Kwenan-Tomé is Vice President for Bon County Civil Society Council. Her statement was flanked by former presidential candidate Magdala Cooper, who spoke on behalf of the opposition community.
It is difficult, it is expensive, but there's value in citizens of the same community, the same country, sitting down, looking at the issues that face them, looking for ways to deal with the issues and making recommendations to themselves and to their partners. What we're presenting to you here is the voice of the people. The hardship we're talking about, people are crying out there. We are in the communities. We listen to people. People are left to struggle alone in their challenges. We will work with you. Civil society is ready. From our end as civil society, we will do all we can to lift Liberia. But we also trust that you, the rest of our partners, will be committed in playing your role.
Mr. President, I stand here to say that we are all here to support you in doing what you can for our nation. We don't stand against you. I don't think any Liberians stand against you. But all we want is to see this nation move forward. Liberia is the only home we will ever have. We are compelled to stay here. We have nowhere else to go. The current economic hardship is something that no Liberian is satisfied with. And since you're the head of state, all of the problems rest on your shoulders. And this conference, this dialogue was extremely important. We are all here today to say we are standing with you, but we ask that your political will stand stronger than your own personal desire.
While in response, President George Weah assured his government's commitment in giving urgent and careful consideration to the proposals produced by delegates at the just-ended National Economic Dialogue. The Liberian leader also promised to establish 4 subcommittees of his cabinet to ensure the implementation of the 4 areas discussed at the conference.
From all indications, I've learned that discussions and debates during the various high-level panel discussions and breakup groups deliberations were focused and frank, and that there was a robust exchange of views and the cross-fertilizations of ideas in the search for practical and acceptable solution to the persistent problems which beset our economy. These proposals measures are clearly set out in the consensus document which has just been read, and in the implementation matrix. I want to assure you that my government will take these proposals into urgent and careful consideration. Our focus will be on implementations, although timing will be a matter for synchronizations and harmonization with existing programs and policies. To this end, we will establish 4 implementation subcommittees of the Cabinet in congruence with the 4 major topics that form the agenda for discussion during this dialogue conference, namely the Cabinet Committee Public Finance and Management, the Cabinet Committee on Investment, Promotion and Private Sector Growth, Cabinet Committee on Youth Employment and Skills Development, and Cabinet Committee on Peace Building and Reconciliation. These 4 cabinet committees will be tasked with oversight on harmonizations and implementation in these 4 areas, and will report to the 4 cabinet from time to time on their progress.
Well, let's now go to central-most Liberia, Bon County, where District Number 3 representative of that area, Marvin Cole, has launched an education foundation in honor of little Jewel Cole, his daughter, with the initial deposit of $2 million Liberian dollars. The launch was characterized by a donation of copybooks and the presentation of 5,000 Liberian each to 3,000 students in the district. Representative Cole informed residents of his constituency his office has secured 27,000 United States dollars to assist needy students desirous of attending Cottington University in Bon County. Mr. Cole has also procured a 38,000 US dollar solar panel to electrify his district. He's been speaking more at the launch in Central Liberia.
About a few days ago, when I paid my children's tuition, my daughter walked to me and asked me, those children that voted you, are they in school in Bon County? That was a compelling question. So I promised her that I'm going to start your foundation. This was not to be the first time. I'm going to go in District Number 3 from school to make sure we provide opportunity in the difficult time to keep your children in school. What I promised District Number 3 people, I will fulfill them in my 3 years as representative in this district. My daughter, my family, and myself brought 3,000 dozens of copybooks to make sure their lives, we will provide opportunity for 3,000 families in District Number 3. Each of your children will receive 12 copybooks today. Not only the copybook, the copybooks they are going to receive, we will provide $5,000 Liberian dollars each. Every child, one of my boys in their house, I will remain here and provide you the opportunity to go to school. But Joaco, my daughter, I provided the initial of 1.6 million Liberian dollars to her. But while I am in this hall, I will add additional 500,000, so it will be 2.1 million. Those of you who are trying to go to Cottington, I have secured 27,000 United States dollars to put the children in school. Let the people who be wishing and listening, let them listen well. I also have paid 38,000 United States dollars for a solar panel light. Your light is on the way. This is our personal money that we have raised from our families to make sure we keep you and your children going. Because we believe if we did not give us this opportunity, we couldn't have been where we are.
Bon County District 3 Representative Marvin Cole. Also speaking, the founder and CEO of Jewel Cole Foundation, Little Jewel Cole, thanked her fellow kids for encouraging their parents to vote her dad into office. She cautioned citizens of the community to help enlighten the minds of the younger generation for future challenges.
Dear parents, our educators, religious leaders, and political leaders, fellow friends, children of District Number 3, I salute you
Well, viewers, if you just join us tonight, this is a reminder that you are watching the September 9th edition of News Today on KMTV with me, Emmanuel Davis, presenting. Many thanks for joining us tonight on our news presentation. We bring you more developments. Let's now cross over to the United States of America, where a dispatch from the headquarters of the United Nations in New York says UNDP Executive Board has officially approved Liberia's country program document. The 2020 to 2024 instrument seeks to support development programs, including helping to promote the quality and effectiveness of core government functions in Liberia. It is also expected that the document will stimulate inclusive growth through the private sector, peace and justice, and governance through decentralization, amongst others. Making remarks at the UN in New York, Liberia's permanent representative to the United Nations, D. Maxwell Kimaya, acknowledged the role of UNDP in Liberia.
We are pleased with the primary objective of the Liberia Country Program document and acknowledge the pivotal role UNDP intends to continue to assume in addressing the existing challenges we face as a country. The priority areas outlined in the document with reference to UNDP programming are well structured, and they evidently align with the government of Liberia's flagship National Development Agenda, the PROPO Agenda for Prosperity and Development, PAPD, envisioned and launched by His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia. As you are also aware, the core objective of our PROPO agenda is for Liberia to sustainably reduce poverty and achieve middle-income status by 2030. As a country, we also view the country program document as an opportunity for a renewed, comprehensive partnership between the United Nations and the government of Liberia, and in particular, it aims to achieve a more sustainable pathway to renewed progress and prosperity, as well as consolidated peace and security in Liberia, especially with coherent and effective support from the United Nations.
Ambassador Kimaya at the same time recommended the strengthening of legal institutions in Liberia, including the Louis Arthur Graham School of Law, the National Bar Association of Liberia, and the Association of Female Lawyers, amongst others, in fighting violations against women.
Paragraph 3 of the document highlights critical issues faced by women in the country. However, it does not speak much to efforts the government of Liberia is making to address these issues. The government of Liberia has conducted and stepped up awareness campaigns against compromised settlements resulting from sexual-based violence against women. This year, the government of Liberia signed into law the Domestic Violence Act, a legal instrument that seeks to abolish all forms of violence meted out against women, children, and men. Additionally, the government of Liberia and relevant partners also launched the Spotlight Initiative in June this year. The initiative focuses on reducing the prevalence of sexual and gender-based violence and harmful practices and increasing women's access to sexual and reproductive health services. In furtherance of enhancing legal literacy, we strongly recommend that one significant way to achieve this goal is to provide assistance to the initiatives of institutions such as the Louis Arthur Graham's School of Law of the University of Liberia, the James A. Pierre Judicial Institute, the National Association of Trial Judges of Liberia, the National Bar Association of Liberia, and the Association of Female Lawyers of Liberia, IFEL.
A group under the Bino Society for the Promotion of Peace, National Reconciliation and Reunification, SPNNR, has honored the Security Experts Guard of Liberia as the most reliable and productive private security agency. Security Expert Guard of Liberia, SIGA for short, is a local private security firm operating in this country. During an honoring and recognition ceremony, SPNNR Chairman Mayfield Cobson said SIGA was selected unanimously after a rigorous process in their vetting time. Here is Mr. Cobson now speaking more during the recognition ceremony.
And with regard to the security sector, through the vetting process, SIGA, the Security Expert Guard Agency of Liberia, was unanimously selected as the most outstanding, productive, and reliable private security agency for the following reasons. One, the highest employer. SIGA has the highest, hundreds of Liberians that are being employed, working with SIGA across the country. Take it from me. We know we are following up the activities of SIGA. We know. SIGA, too, is one of the oldest private security agencies in the Republic of Liberia. 3, SIGA, over the years, have been, we know everybody wants money. Everybody wants money. But SIGA used its resources to reach out to the needed, the less fortunate, in different sectors. We know what you have done over the years. So on behalf of our board, we have 2 awards here. Security Expert Guard Agency of Liberia, SIGA, as a very good and reliable private security agency. Then we have here, this one is Momoti Cyrus, who is the brain behind it. We should highly appreciate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right.
While making remarks at the program, Security Expert Guard Chief Executive Officer Momo Cyrus attributed the success of the company to the dedication and hard work of his men. He at the same time re-emphasized the need for partnership with national security in fighting crimes across Liberia.
We do not have an international private security company surviving in this country because of the standard we have put in place, where international partners have preferred us rather than their own international partner in private security. That is an employ for the Liberian people. Liberia can be built by Liberians, not foreigners. And what we need to do as Liberians, we need to support each other and commend each other, when it comes to positive work. We should avoid the issue of trying to tear down Liberians. We should look around ourselves to see how many years we are. 172 years. Here we are. Because you can rest assured, we are not going to have the foreigner doing it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. Mm-hmm. It is about time for us to be positive of our undertaking. We can be passionate of what we do. We got to love what we do. And we wouldn't have received this award or be appreciated at this level without the work of the staff at SIGA. What we have done at SIGA is to recruit the best brain in country in terms of private security enrichment, is to motivate them, is to treat them, retrain them, and build capacities. And that's what has translated into SIGA being the best private security company in the country today. Retraining and building capacities. We are also partnership with government in order to maintain peace and reduce crime in our country. Because we are aware that government in itself cannot do all for us. We are aware of the economic meltdown in the country. But we in the private sector, especially the private security, will do everything possible to support government effort in reducing crimes in the country.
Well, away from Liberia now, Robert Mugabe's nephew has said the former Zimbabwean leader died a very bitter man. According to the BBC, Mr. Mugabe, who died aged 95 last week, led Zimbabwe for nearly 4 decades until he was ousted by a coup in 2017. He was very bitter and it dented his legacy, he told BBC from his uncle's rural home. Well, with that foreign development coming from Zimbabwe, this is how we like to go home on this edition of News Today on KMTV. But before leaving you a recap of the headlines. National Economic Dialogue ends in Monrovia with a call for President George Weah to implement the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report with specific reference to the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court. United Nations Development Program Executive Board endorses Liberia's country program document, CPD, as Liberia's permanent representative to the UN acknowledges the role of UNDP in actualizing the PAPD. And President George Weah shows his government's readiness in urgently and carefully addressing proposals crafted by delegates at the just ended National Economic Dialogue. Away from Liberia now, Robert Mugabe's nephew says the former Zimbabwean leader died a very bitter man. Well, many thanks for joining us tonight on our news presentation. Better still, you can join us on www.kmtvliberia.com and other social media platforms available to you. My name is Emmanuel Davis on behalf of the entire news team here at KMTV. Do have a great night.